Investing in international stocks offers various advantages. Primarily, the advantage of global diversification, and US has been the first choice for most global investors. But how does one begin their global investment journey? That is where Stockle comes in. Stockle is a specialized brokerage firm that enables Indian investors to invest directly into the stocks of US markets in an easy and hassle free way. And to decode how this really works and what are Stockle's unique offerings, I'm joined by Mr. Sitash Srivastav, co founder and co CEO, Stockle. Welcome to the show, sir.
Well, thank you so much, Ruchira. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. So, my first question to you, Mr. Sitash, is that how does one really go about their global investment journey? How does one actually invest in US stocks while being here in India? And these are stocks like Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, brands that we are all very familiar with. So, how does one really get started? And what are the important considerations for Indian investors who want to expand their portfolio?
Right. Yeah. I think from an expansion of portfolio perspective is what is sort of the right way to look at US investing or global investing. Diversification is key, and obviously there are opportunities overseas which are not available locally. So these are the two primary reasons why we see people showing interest in investing abroad. And Well, the best thing is that investing overseas has become really, really straightforward now on the Stockle platform. Over a period of time, over the last 1 2 years, we've built infrastructure for Indians to be able to seamlessly invest in US markets, and that is something that we have just been very hard focused on. It's very easy. The idea is to invest via local brokerage account in the US. So what you need to do is to open a local US brokerage account, put money in that account from your Indian bank account, and then you are all set and trading. Once money arrives in your US brokerage account, you're basically up for making your investments. Now, traditionally, investing a US brokerage account used to be tough. Either it required a certain minimum, investment size, like certain large brokers still ask for $25,000 minimums. For the longest period of time, it required a lot of offline paperwork, which basically meant you had to package your application and courier it to them. So that was also a problem. It would take a lot of time. There was not much customer support available. And then over the last year and a half, investing a account in the US would typically take 2 business days. It became digital, but it would still take a couple of days
All
because there
right.
was verification which was still manual on the US side. Uh, Now, what's happening on Stockle is that you can open an account in like 5 minutes. There is a simple online form to fill, much like opening an email ID or any simple sign up process. You have to upload your documents. Basically, your ID proof is the main document
Like a
that is
KYC.
required. Yes, for KYC. Nothing extraordinary requires to be done. Just your local, KYC docs. It could be a PAN, Aadhaar, passport, anything that you might have, driving license, voter ID. We are able to take various identity documents and take it, put your address in, and that's about it. I mean, all the validation of your documentation is automatic. It's completely digital, and it's a straight through process to open an account now. So your account is basically open and approved in 5 minutes as you are going through the journey. Once that gets done, you have to fund that account, like I said. So there are various ways to fund your account. You can do this also within Stockle now. You just add, let's say you want to add $500 or $1,000 or $5,000, whatever that amount might be. Just initiate the process on Stockle like a payment gateway. It will take you through the process. You will transfer money from your local chosen bank account, and that's it. I mean, it's fairly simple. If you want to transfer a large amount, let's say upwards of $10,000 in the case of certain banks, or upwards of $20,000 in the case of certain other banks, uh, the process is offline, where it is you basically it's driven by the offline documentation requirement of the RBI. So every
All
bank has
right.
a limit, and that offline process is also handled on Stockle. So again, it's a very straightforward process. Everything is available on the Stockly platform.
Great. So, beginning on your global investment journey path is no longer complex or complicated. But moving on to my next question, Mr. Satash, how does one figure out the best stock to invest in? What is the better approach to actually invest in a handful of stocks based on gut feeling? Or should one really go by research and do a lot of back end research for the numbers for a high risk adjusted return? So, what is your suggestion here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, gut feel is not the recommended method in any case when it's investing. Gut feel does work many a times for experienced investors, but then I guess they also develop the gut feel. So I suggest research. Generally, the good thing is that research is not tremendously difficult when it comes to US markets. It's probably a lot easier than in researching Indian markets, just because and you were saying this earlier. People know and understand a lot of US companies because we tend to use their products a lot, or we are exposed to them. We tend to use the content they produce. Sometimes we work for those companies, or we know people who work for those companies. So researching the market is not as difficult as one might think. And two ways to think of research. One is, I guess, from a diversification standpoint. So if you have an Indian portfolio, if you're investing in Indian mutual funds or Indian stocks, then this is a great way to diversify if you're investing in the US. So think
All
of
right.
what you don't have, from a fundamental perspective, what you don't have in India, and what is available in the US. The second is just opportunities. There are new companies that are IPOing every quarter, and we know a lot of these companies because again we've been using their products and services. So researching them, reading about them is one clear way. And obviously, US tech is a very large play. So researching and participating in US tech is certainly one of the key things that people use for US investing.
All right, sure. But coming to your key offering that Stockle shares with its investors, uh, let's talk about stacks. So, what exactly are stacks? How do they make investing in a custom made global portfolio simple and doable? And how are these developed? What are the core benefits for retail investors? Could you elaborate on this, please?
Right, absolutely. So stacks are exactly for people who don't want to spend too much time researching. Also, for people who don't want to spend too much time investing actively, they want to remain passively invested. Uh, it's also for people who tend to look for advice, and advice is not easily available because ticket sizes are usually not that high. Advice becomes available if you're investing over, let's say, a 50 lakh or a 1 crore check size. Anything under that, you are on your own for the most part everywhere in the world. So stacks are basically managed portfolios. What Stockle has done is Stockle has partnered with various investment managers, portfolio managers, asset management companies, asset managers across the world. And Stockle has requested them to create and manage portfolios which get executed on the Stockle platform. So, for example, there is a firm in the US called Global X Funds, which manages about $40 billion in ETFs, listed ETFs on various US exchanges. So they manufacture stacks for us. They make and manage portfolios. Their portfolio managers make and manage portfolios. They rebalance. They keep changing the securities which are underlying in portfolios if required. So they manage the entire process. And as an investor, I can basically just log in and decide what amount I want to invest. It could be $1,000, $500, or it could be higher. Uh, I just, in one click, I make the investment and then I sit on it. The portfolio rebalances itself over a period of time. Let's say I hold on to it for a year or for a few quarters, and then if I need liquidity or if I think that I've made enough gains, I sell. Again, just a single click. So the redemption is very straightforward as well. It's a very, very simple process. And like this, there are about 20-25 stacks available on the Stockle platform. So people who don't want to spend too much time researching, their job has been made easier by curating the entire market into say 20 25 options, and these are curated by the best of breed investment managers and portfolio managers, so you don't have to worry about it. Just pick
All
your
right.
stacks.
All right. So basically, stacks enable investors to make well-informed decisions by leveraging the research and experience of hedge fund managers and seasoned portfolio managers to grow their wealth, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Otherwise, this pedigree of wealth managers and portfolio managers is not easily available to most common investors.
Definitely. But the next natural question is that how does one really identify the better performing stock within a sector? And the ready made portfolio consists of various instruments that are based on a theme or an idea, ranging from healthcare to electric vehicles to tech to capital goods and ESG. So, could you take us through the various themes and how should one decide on the better performing stock?
Right. So these are two separate the sort of questions, but bundled into one, right? I mean, how does one identify a stock? And then the other one is how does one, identify a good stack? So I think identifying a good stack is relatively simpler. Based on your interest, you can identify stacks. If you're interested in technology, there are tech-based stacks. If you're interested in energy, mobility, there are, like you said, there is an electric vehicle stack. There are energy stacks available. If you're looking at topicality, for example, over the last 1 2 years, pharma has been a big theme. So that again, there are stacks which are built on pharma as an area. Obviously, there have been companies which have done extremely well in the in the COVID time frame, especially when it came to vaccination approval and stuff like that. So there are various ways to identify stacks, and this is usually related to your areas of interest and what you're reading about, what your friends are doing, what you understand from a social parlance as well. When it comes to looking at individual stocks, a better performing stock obviously is a company which you have confidence on. A company which is undervalued, let's say. So looking at price to earnings is a good sort of a very good popular metric that mature investors tend to use. Uh, Looking at revenue growth, past revenue trend and then future revenue prospects is also a great way to look at companies which are specially focused on innovation and research. Looking at profitability growth and profitability stability is a great way to look at companies which are relatively traditional and are in mature sectors. Then it's about looking at companies. So it depends upon the sectors, right? If you're looking at say pharma or healthcare or companies which come from Medi, for example, one can follow patent approvals. One can follow FDA reactions to also see what kind of companies have applied and which stage of evaluation they've reached, and based on their performance and their stage of approval, that's also a great way to look at sort of pharma companies and companies in medicine and healthcare in general. So it depends upon sectors, but there are some fundamental parameters which people tend to use, and then there are some qualitative, ecosystem oriented, industry based parameters that people tend to use.
Sure. So, thank you for taking us through the various stacks that are available and also highlighting the key features. But what are the special stack offerings and deals for money control users? And just before we wrap up, one tip for smart investing for new or wannabe investors.
Right, right. I think there are some special stacks which are offered to money control investors. I think the electric vehicle stack is an extremely popular stack, I would say. There is a technology blue chip stack, which is also a very very commonly used stack. As I mean, invested in kind of stack that I think a lot of the money control audiences will enjoy. Electric vehicles, because as a theme, as a sector, it has started changing the world, I believe. It is also the single most popular stack on the Stockle platform, so a lot of investors tend to like it. It has companies like Tesla, which have done well individually as well. The US, the tech stack is again one of the natural investing areas. You can't be investing in the US and not investing in tech if you're investing from India. So again, it's a stack which is extremely popular, and it's again for people who want to diversify into tech and are not able to find enough local options. So these two, I guess, Money Control is a special partnership for Stockle. So every customer coming on Money Control is treated as a Money Control customer by Stockle also. So they get all the perks of being a Money Control customer. When it comes to smart tips, I mean, not much to say. I mean, people who come via the Money Control channel, especially, are smart. They are sophisticated investors. They understand what they are trying to do. That being said, from our standpoint and what I've observed when it comes to investing internationally, I think themes or thematic approaches work very, very well. Because just such a variety of themes is available when it comes to overseas investing. That kind of variety is just not available locally. So looking at it from a thematic perspective, such as looking at pharma, technology, mobility, looking at energy, looking at global oil, other commodities, commodity oriented themes. These are great areas to look for good companies.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. So clearly, starting your global investment journey is as simple as just clicking a button. And Stockle has various offerings that can keep your money in the right instruments and help you grow your wealth with global diversification. Thank you so much for joining us for this very special podcast. And thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It was a great session. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you.